In the final stretch of our series on Israel, we bid farewell to the ancient and holy city of Jerusalem and travel to its polar opposite on the Mediterranean, the young metropolis Tel Aviv, the country's most modern, most liberal, and most cosmopolitan city. So join us. I'm David Celdran, and this is Executive Class. If this scene doesn't move you, I don't know what will. Leaving Jerusalem is never easy. The holy city is much too ingrained in our culture to simply say goodbye to. In extreme cases, some fall into a deep melancholy, even depression. Others leave with a burning obsession with religion, and not a few have experienced existential confusion. Medical experts have an actual term for it: the Jerusalem syndrome. A psychotic state brought about by religious excitement, induced by overexposure to the holy sites and the frenzied pilgrims of Jerusalem. So before suffering from the syndrome that afflicts so many other tourists, perhaps it's best to find a place away from the madness. To a quiet place like Abu Ghosh, a predominantly Arab town on a hill along the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway. It's impossible to escape the topic of faith in Israel, so even Abu Ghosh figures in the Bible. It's believed the Ark of the Covenant was once based here. The Crusaders too built a church and a monastery in the 12th century, run today by Catholic Benedictines. The medieval Church of the Lord's Resurrection was built on the spot where the Crusaders believed Jesus appeared to his disciples at Emmaus after his resurrection. But since this is not Jerusalem, these holy events don't get much attention, and the locals, they don't seem that interested in promoting their town's spiritual credentials either. Instead of pilgrims, art historians prefer to visit, to marvel at the best preserved Crusader building in Israel and one of the oldest medieval frescoes in the world. If Jerusalem's mosques are symbols of nationalist aspirations, the old mosque of Abu Ghosh has no pretensions. It's simply a mosque, a local house of worship. So even if the town won't quench your spiritual thirst, it will at least satisfy your physical hunger. This is where most guidebooks and travel websites on Israel say you can find the best Arabic street food in the country. The hummus.
Bon appetit.
Shukran. There's a beautiful Crusader Church nearby. There's a second largest mosque in Israel, but there's another reason why people come all the way from Jerusalem to Abu Ghosh, and it's for this. It's the hummus, said to be the best in the entire country. Hummus is a dip or spread made from cooked mashed chickpeas, blended with tahini, olive oil, lemon juice, salt and garlic, and often served with flat bread. Every country, every town, every restaurant and home in the Middle East has its own recipe. Abu al-Abed follows its own recipe, and the hummus is fantastic. So creamy, so rich and flavorful, and with a little bit of the spice on it. It's got this really nice kick. Falafel is another common Middle Eastern treat made with chickpeas, shaped into donut balls and deep-fried in olive oil. Cilantro and parsley give falafel its distinctive green color. And while we're at it, why not some grilled skewered meat? All halal, of course, which is the Arab version of a Jewish kosher meal. Foodies who come all over to Abu Ghosh to taste their hummus, their famous hummus, have also discovered another secret in this village. It's their sweets, Arabic and Turkish sweets, that they say are also the best. And that brings us to the coffee shop next door, which specializes in different types of baklava, phyllo pastry with walnut and pistachio filling, and kenefe, pastry layered with cheese. These are soaked in sweet syrup water and best enjoyed with strong Arabic coffee. And with Jerusalem out of my head for now, it's time to head to Tel Aviv by the sea, the country's most modern and cosmopolitan city. So, as they say in Israel, while Jerusalem prays, Tel Aviv plays. That's next after the break.